Okay, we just began Hilchas Tzitzis Simches Halacha Beis, page 25. The Mechaber said in Halacha Aleph, Yisatef, the expression is you should wrap yourself in tzitzis. Seder Tifosa, what is the order of wrapping oneself? How do you wrap? How does one put on his talis? As one puts on his garment, when he engages in work, well, you realize the garments they wore in those days were different than the garments. In those days, it was a wrap. You would wrap yourself with a piece of cloth. Pomim bekisa rosh, pomim begila rosh. The times when you wrap yourself, sometimes you have your head covered, sometimes your head was not covered, right? It was a piece of cloth, so something you just wrapped it around your back. Sometimes when you wrapped it, your head was covered. When you wrapped it, it was further up, so it covered your head, not only your body. The Mechaber says it's proper that your head should be covered with the talis. When you put talis on, your head should be covered. It's in Mishna Berura. Begili Arosh. The Avagav D'Varchin L'Sateif. The text reads L'Sateif, means to wrap. Kisi Aguf L'Chudei Havi'itov U'ika Itov. The primary wrapping is when the body is. Because the halacha is the talis has to be a minimum size. It has to minimally cover the majority of your back. If it's just like a shawl, it does not cover two-thirds of your back. It's not a valid size because it has to be ituf. Ituf means the back is covered, is wrapped with the talis. So therefore, the terminology is when you put it on, but it doesn't mean covering the head. The body has to be covered. See, that's what he says. That the primary ituf, that's what? Kisi aguf l'chuda, covering the body. V'ovri jorochim, people who travel, travelers, sheminichem talis k'shu mekupel, mishalshim siviv tzavorim al ksifsfeim. People, when they travel, how do they wear a talis? They fold it, and they just wear it on their shoulders. They don't unfold it. And yotzi the tzitzis boseh. Let's say you have a pair of tzitzis. Buy a package at the bookstore, tzitzis. Take it out of the cellophane, out of the plastic, and instead of opening it, you just put it on your shoulder. You're not yotzi tzitzis. You have to wear the tzitzis as a garment. As a garment means it has to cover your body. Cover your body means it has to cover the majority of your back. But if you just, he says, so those who travel and they don't have the tzitzis hanging down, the garment doesn't cover their body, they just have it folded and they put it like a shawl on the shoulders or like a scarf, although if it would be unfolded, unraveled, it would cover, then not yotze tzitzis, because that's not considered wearing the garment. Mar says in Shabbos that if a person walks into Rosh Hashanah wearing a talis unfolded, you're in violation of transporting from domain to domain. If you wear something, that's called wearing, that's not called carrying. But if you have it folded and you're not wearing it the way it's normally worn, and the example is a talis that's left unfolded, and you walk out into Rosh Hashanah, you're in violation of transporting from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. That's called considered transporting. And yotzim zechol tzitzis v'chaygavnu kol yamal lav itufu. That's not itif. That's not wrapping. 1 second. What's wrong with talis coat? Talis coat covers the majority of your back. Minimally, you have to have 18 by 18. You need minimally. I know. He's saying during the week. People are traveling. So he says if they don't unfold the towels, they carry it on their shoulder, they're not yotzi tzitzis, because that's not wearing the garment. Torah says you have an obligation to wear tzitzis when you wear it. If you're not wearing it, you're not wearing the garment. There's no obligation of tzitzis. You don't fulfill your obligation. It's a bracha levatolo. But talis, he says, and it's proper, you should cover your head with the talis. Now, people are saying, one time a person wasn't a Talmud Chochem, a Rav, he would wear a hat. You see any pictures taken in an Orthodox shul in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, all people wore hats when they wore davened. They wore hats. The only one who had his head covered was the rabbi in the shul. He was the only one who wore the talis over his head. Everybody else wear, but they wore hats. But what happens if you don't have a hat? People come, don't wear a hat, then you should cover your head with the talus. Why? So he explains. What is the value of covering your head with the talus? It's the same reason why we wear a yarmulke. What do you wear a yarmulke? So the Gemara says in Shabbos, the Gemara says in Kedushin, because it's acknowledging there's somebody above you. So it humbles the heart. It's the expression, it brings about Yerushalayim. A talus even more so. Because throughout the day you don't go with your head covered, right? Even if you wear a yarmulke, it's not, talus is more than a yarmulke. Go ahead.
I visited a shul on Shabbos in Amsterdam, and he gave me an aliyah. And either you wear a hat or you have to cover your head with a talus. But the yarmulke doesn't do it.
Shekise machnia leva odom mevil leir shamayim v'ayin taz shedait nochon shlo yosa akol v'akot nishal rosha beisa tefillah. Now this is important. What about the person doesn't have a yarmulke? The person has a yarmulke. He says, "Look, if my head's covered neither way with the talus, what do I have to wear a yarmulke under the talus?" Taz writes, "No, you have to have your head covered. Besides the talus covering, you have to have your head covered, which you normally cover." Shal rosh beisa tefillah afshu mechasa rosha betalus gamkein. Kosa bach the tzorch she'atalus arosha betchilas atfilat sofa. You hear this? The Bach writes that the talus should be from the beginning of Tefillah, beginning of Shemon Esrei till the end of Shemon Esrei, your head should be covered with the talus. Okay? You know, my mashgiach, you know, every, he said the shir right under my Rosh Hashiva. And every Friday, in those days, a shir was an hour and 45 minutes. Not like today, 50 minutes, because the students don't have an attention span. It was an hour and 45 minutes without air conditioning in the summer. Okay, that was a shir. And so the last half an hour every Friday, he would speak on the parsha. So remember, he would say, so it was the parsha where there was a famine, and Avram went with Sarah to Egypt. And she says, "Atu yadatki shifas mara." Now I realize you're a beautiful woman. So the question is, what he must have been married 30, 40 years. He never knew his wife was beautiful. So Rashi explains whatever. So he said, and he had an ability that if he would meet a person for 2 minutes and just interact slightly with him, he could tell you everything about that person's life. This person, he was the mashgiach. He had a sense of everything about him. And it was no. So he says, and he said about himself, this is what he said in the shir, he says, I meet a person for just a few moments, I get everything about a person. But if you ask me, what is the color of his eyes, I can't tell you what the color of his eyes are. Because I don't focus on that. Because when I see the person as a person. I don't look at details of the person. I can't tell you the color of his eyes. So one of the examples he says, in those years, today, he says the way a bocher wears a yarmulke on his head. He says, first of all, what kind of yarmulke does he wear? How does he wear it? All these things are indications, all about it. Immediately, he's able to evaluate what the student is. That's the way it is. If you see people the way they cover their heads with halesim, I'm not talking about balabatim, I'm talking about people who should know better, so to say. They'll cover it, it'll be at the back of the head. They'll go half of the head, or go to the front of the head. Or they'll do it only the beginning, and not all of a sudden, like towards the end, it starts slipping off the head. That's what it's all about. You're supposed to wear it the same as you start. That's the way you're supposed to finish. Okay? These people, so they'll put that on the back of the heads. It's like, years ago, they used to have, what was his name? Mickey Rooney. He used to wear a baseball cap. So he wore it at the back, And and he had the brim to the side. Okay, so yeah, exactly. Only if you have smicha by the yakis, because they wear hats. It was an indication of, because it really has to do with the Gemara. The Gemara says, but it really has to do with the yarmulke. Like the Moroccans, they wear like a long, they call it jalaba. It has a hood. Only Talmidei Chachamim, Gemara says, wore the heads covered. They would wear that hood. The average person went with his head went without a hood. Between Talmidei Chacham, does say Rabbi, it says Talmidei Chachamim and the common folk.
Today, some of the rabbis, many of the rabbis, no longer cover their heads, and they don't wear a hat in the shul. And so, in a shul like that, for a balabos to cover his head is a problem because it's more religious than the rabbi.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
It is a problem. It's a problem. But factually, to say the Shemona Esrei without your head covered, it's a disrespect. You're standing before God, and the proper attire, the way to stand before Hashem, it's an audience with Hashem, is to have your head covered. It shows humility. And so, unfortunately, at one time it was unheard of that a woman, whether she went with her hair covered or not, she would not come to shul unless her head was covered. In a synagogue, she wore a hat, a bonnet, something, a kerchief, something. Today, I'd say it's the past 15 years, women come to shul without their heads covered. Nothing, not even a doily. They will not even put a doily on. I'm telling you, maybe during services, but if they come for a bris or something, no doilies, nothing. A funeral where they have they bring the whatever, heads are not covered. Anything. It's a disrespect. How do you come to a synagogue? Whatever you do outside the synagogue is your business. But in the shul, how do you? It's okay.
What's the origin of the double cover? Why? That's just in case the outfit will blow off?
No. See, the talis is what we call beged miuchad l'tefillah. It's a garment that's specifically designated for tefillah. So you're covering your head with that, but again, it's your normal attire, and in addition to your normal attire, you wear a garment which is designated specifically for tefillah. So that's why it's in addition to that. So what should your attire be when you stand before God? Personal attire. You have your head covered. In addition, you have the garment which is designated for tefillah. The head, the person, okay? No, they didn't cover. No, they didn't cover their heads. They don't cover. They don't cover. In those days, they with the hat on. They said, of course they did. They wore the hat when they wrapped themselves.
What's the origin of the hat on top of the yarmulke? What's the need of the hat?
No, you don't need a hat on top of the yarmulke. You don't. Some don't. Some don't wear hats on top of the yarmulke. They only put a yarmulke on their head when they take their hat off. Yeah.
In tefillah, though, why do we cover our head with the talis at Baruch Hu? Or some people hold covering the head throughout the tefillah from the beginning of
First, it engenders Yiras Shamayim. So what is Kabbalah? What is Birchus? What's Kriya Shema? Kabbalah Samach Shamayim. You're accepting the yoke of dominion of God upon yourself. So that's humility. The first that you start, that's just Psuki de Zimra. It's verses of praise. But what after Yishtabach, you say Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu tilde Shemona. So what are you doing? That's Kriya Shema. Kriya Shema is Kabbalah Samach Shamayim. So what level of humility should you have?
So what I'm saying, but why wouldn't they say that?
Because the most important time is what? Is during the Shemona Esrei. Because that you're having an audience with God Himself. Not saying you shouldn't have it before. Some start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Somebody is Rav Chaim Kanevsky. Rav Chaim Kanevsky says you should wear the talis on your head continuously. Since it engenders Yiras Shamayim, so the longer the better. That's what Rav Chaim Kanevsky said.
Throughout the davening.
What?
Throughout
the davening. From the beginning, even till after the Yom. Till after the Yom. Till you take your tefillin off. You should have your head covered. That's what he says. Not as an obligation. It's beneficial. You don't have to take it off. You don't have to take it off.
From later?
They come up for air, so to say. That's why they take it off.
Rabbi, one comes into a new shul, traveling, whatever, and nobody, the midnight bearers, nobody wears a talis over their head. It's a similar question
That's what David just asked.
But what do? You're supposed to do as...
But if you're going to make waves, you know what I would do?
Yeah.
I'd go into a corner or stand outside the shul that I should be able to look into the shul and cover my head. I wouldn't daven in the shul.
Right.
That's what I would do. Because as long as you could see them davening, you're part of the minyan. But I wouldn't daven in the room to be able to cover my head. Kriya Torah, let's say people stand, some people sit, let's say everybody sits, and you're going to stand. You can stick out like a Thor sum. So there are many hold that you could sit during. You could sit during Kriya Torah. So you sit. You know, Baruch Hu Hashem, when they say that, you just lift yourself a little bit, and otherwise you sit. But during Shemona Esrei, it's something much more, it's almost like a disrespect. So that's what I would do. Okay.
Stepping out of where you're sitting, going to back.
I said even more, even going out of the room. Going out of the room.
I was told to sit down.
Eggnog. Eggnog. Okay. Let's see the Chovos Halevavos. It's okay.
Could you help him with soy?
I leave that to David.